those who don't know who Sainsbury's are, we're a grocer. It's now the largest non-food retailer in the UK. We are a business, it's 148 years old, and it's absolutely born on values. Yeah, genuinely, truly a value-generated business. Today I want to talk about two specific values around sourcing with integrity and respect for our environment. But today we're talking about food, very close to my heart, both in Sainsbury's and beyond in the other groups I support. And as a global community, we have an enormous amount of challenges that we all face. If you just think about the World Economic Forum, the risk perception survey, and you think about climate change and the impact on food, up in that top right-hand corner, extreme weather events, natural disasters, water crises, large-scale involuntary migration, these are all things that are having a very significant impact on food and the availability of food. And just to surmise, Bob and Tim, the impacts that they're showing on the macro position, these are real things, and they're actually happening every single day. We know about the fact that we've got projected global greenhouse gas emissions, very quickly. If we do nothing, we continue on the top line. And if we don't all focus on this seriously, we're in trouble. Yeah, absolutely. And not one individual company can do that on their own, or one individual government, community. We have to pull together, and I'll come back to that in a second. If you think about climate variability and change, that map shows you the countries that in 2050 will have very significant depression in agricultural yields. It is scary. And if you think about what does that mean about global hunger and malnutrition, the map that you see there absolutely stands out that those countries that absolutely are most impacted by climate change are also those suffering from malnutrition, and so most reliant upon imported commodities. The conundrum gets even wider. So we've got other things that we're focusing on well, hopefully all of us apart from America at the moment, around Paris and COP21. They're vitally important processes and resolutions that absolutely are needed unequivocally to make a difference. If you think about UN SDGs, incredibly important. And if you think about food, 8 of the SDGs absolutely are focused on agriculture and food, 8 of them. And why is it important for Sainsbury's? We're absolutely 100% UK-based company, but every single day we source these products from over 60 countries globally. When Bob asked me to come and talk, there was such a wide, diverse topic around food that I needed to narrow it down, and I'm extremely passionate about food waste. I'm extremely passionate about UN SDG 12.3, which calls for the world to help reduce food waste by 50%, whether it's in supply chain, in our homes, regardless of what it is, by 50% by 2030. And the reason I really focus on food waste, and it's my quote really, I'm really passionate about this, we all need to absolutely ensure the valuable resources expended in creating food, the carbon, the water, and the associated climate impacts are optimised and not squandered by food being wasted. It's sacrilegious to see that food that has all that impact already embodied in that product go into waste. So, in the UK, give you a few stats. My very close colleagues and associates in WRAP, I work very closely with. The reality is, we, you, your next door neighbours, my sister, my mum, we waste 7.2 million tonnes of food every year in the UK. You can exponentially scale that up globally, but I want to bring it right back into the UK. It's scary. That's 9 Wembley stadiums absolutely filled to the top with food. Yeah, it's mind-boggling. It's scary. But why is it important to Sainsbury's? And I'll make no apology for this. It's really important to us because, number one, it makes commercial sense to eradicate food waste from our business. Absolutely, unequivocally. And secondly, it's absolutely important because it's important for the environment. It's important for our communities that we have stores within in the UK. It's important for the world globally. But they need to go hand in hand. And in Sainsbury's, if I take food and food waste, it's very simple. we want to eradicate food waste totally. We want to reduce it, reuse it, recycle it, recover it, and ultimately in Sainsbury's there is no such thing as landfill. We are a total zero waste to landfill organisation. We have been since 2012. But importantly, we have a hierarchy. Thank you very much. I'll take that, thank you. We have a hierarchy, a mantra, and this is very important, and I want to just share and dispel a myth and legend. Ultimately, we do have waste that's generated. That waste is generated, we absolutely want to make sure it goes into human beings. If it can't be sold, and there's some damn good reasons why food cannot be sold, we want to make sure that gets put into charity. If it can't go into charity, we put it into animal feed. And if all else fails, we put it into AD to create energy. Dead simple. That is probably, in reality, the scale of waste. Smaller in charity, a little bit in animal feed, but much in energy from waste. I hate it. Yeah, absolutely despise the fact that that's the case. I want to invert the triangle. That is my passion, to make sure that a legacy that I leave is in Sainsbury's is absolutely to invert that triangle and to make sure that we flip it and do the right thing. But it's not as easy as it sounds. But there are some myths and legends. Yeah, I have a number of well-known personalities that challenge me quite frequently at various events. And they say, Paul, you're taking the easy option. You're just going to put all that food waste into AD and energy because you're getting paid for it. Absolute baloney. Yeah, absolute tosh. It absolutely costs Sainsbury's millions and millions of pounds to do the second best thing, putting food waste into AD. It's not the fact that we're doing it because it's the most commercial sense. We're doing it because it's difficult at the moment. We have today over 1,100 stores with food donation partnerships. But actually getting every single community and every single store connected with a food donation partnership is difficult. So if you have a local Sainsbury's store and you know of a local charity that's a food bank, please go and knock on that Sainsbury's store. We will honestly listen, because we want to ensure that our food absolutely goes into that inverted triangle and goes as quickly as possible to humans. But it is difficult for us to maintain that. With animal feed, it's dead simple. Animal feed in Sainsbury's is bread. So bread waste in Sainsbury's does not go into AD. It goes into animal feed. That actually then ends up going back into feed that feeds pigs, ends back in Sainsbury's. It's very simple. It's a closed loop situation, dead easy, and it's something that we do every single day. The last resource, and it is the last resort, is putting food into AD. Like I said, I want to put as little in there as possible. But we are innovative, very quickly. That there on the top right is an AD facility in Cannock. That there is Sainsbury's store. I was told it was impossible, but I hate things that are impossible. Lovely challenge. I now have a wire connecting the AD facility that takes our food waste, and that store is taken totally off grid. It's powered 100% by food waste. I mentioned the 7.2 million tonnes of food waste. Us, our families, our next door neighbours, absolutely unequivocally, it's sacrilegious for us to throw away food. So one of the things that we have in Sainsbury's is we listen, genuinely listen. And we had 5,000 customers genuinely talk to us. No web interaction, human contact. And they absolutely unequivocally told us the most important thing they wanted us to do was to help them waste less food and save more money. In the years gone by, it's been, can we look after our farmers? Can we look after our colleagues? Can we look after our dairy farmers specifically? They're still important, but it was a massive step change. We really took us by surprise. So we decided it's absolutely a vitally important thing to do. And if you take the 7.2 million tonnes, that means every household in the UK wastes £700 worth of food every year, on average. Got to stop it. So what do? We created a Waste Less, Save More programme. I went to the board and said, look, you have to trust me on this one. I'm looking for a £10 million investment, but I have no idea whatsoever on the planet what I'm going to do. I've got no ROI, but I know that our customers absolutely tell us this is the right and important. And genuinely, the board got behind this. And within several weeks, the bank account was full. And we set on our journey of understanding what that really mean. And so we wanted to do an awareness programme. And so we decided to invest in a community, invest £1 million, and that community is Swadlincote in Derbyshire. Around about 15 months ago, we started our journey to absolutely raise awareness. Yeah, we had some significant challenges. We wanted to raise as many awarenesses as possible in that town of what they could do to reduce their food waste. A year later, we have some great results. What was interesting, we deployed technology, we deployed smart fridges, we had education programs, we went into schools, we had families that we worked with every single week, we had nutritionists, we had everything in that town that we could do to try and prove that actually education, communication and awareness is something that's really important. And today, Tim and I were talking about lost values and lost skills, you know, and we found that absolutely unequivocally, children, teenagers, young parents had no idea at all about storing food, how to store food, how to prolong food, how to make their leftovers go further after a Sunday roast. It was quite eye-opening. And what was interesting was following the investment that we made in Swadlincote, there was a number of things that we did. A third more of the community, and there's 30,000 in Swadlincote, absolutely knew that by these simple messages that they were more aware of food waste, and actually 64% of that community said they were absolutely planning to make a change. Big numbers. And if you extrapolate that through, and I'll come on to that in a second, there's some big numbers. But it wasn't just about trialling and education, it was also about redistribution. We opened a community fridge in Swadlincote to enable the community and businesses to donate food at a local level that had nothing to do with Sainsbury's. It's been very successful, and it's added an important value, and it's taken a significant amount of food that would normally gone into the bin, genuinely into the community and into an environment. We're now on a journey. One community in Swadlincote, which I call the Mexican Wave, they were the first person to stand up. We've now got 147 communities across the UK. We're spending another £1 million this year, and we've got 120 projects that we're absolutely focused on. And I promise we're going to make a difference and hopefully help the UK to genuinely reduce their food waste across the UK. But in summary, and I mentioned it earlier, you know, absolutely those UN SDG goals are critical, but we cannot do this alone. Yeah, Sainsbury's, we cannot do this alone. The partnership with IKnowFood is fantastic. Having academia, having businesses, having people that are passionate, you guys are passionate about helping to make a difference are the things that we absolutely need. You know, and if I go back to the impression, you know, it's all for one and one for all. You know, we're not going to win on our own. And I'd implore all of you to get involved, as Bob's just asked earlier, in any small or large way possible. And finally, if you've got any ideas whatsoever to help Sainsbury's to waste less food, you know where to call. Just give me a shout. Thank you very much.
A few quick questions for Paul before I wrap up. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Just wondering what Sainsbury's is doing about trying to push out best before dates, and when you're talking about chilled food as well, setting a more accurate shelf life. I know there's safety issues around that, but I think there's still things that can be done.
One of the things that we're absolutely doing in those discovery communities is we've realised unequivocally that there is a mass confusion today around the difference between best before and use by. Unequivocally, we all think it's fine, it's not fine. And so I've made a decision that we're absolutely going to raise the ante, and in a number of communities across the UK, we are going to really start to understand what messages and how we're going to be able to convey and communicate those differences, because it will make a very significant difference. We're already doing lots of things with our own products to extend life, lots of different technologies, packing technologies, working with organisations globally at the moment to help us to prolong the life of food, to enable us to not end up joining that 7.2 million tonne queue, what we know is going to happen every single year. So seriously, watch this space from a Sainsbury's perspective. We will be carrying out the best way possible to educate and share so everybody's aware of what to and what not to end up being disposed of in a fridge or your cupboards.
Good question, thank you, and good answer.
It's a very quick question. The 7.2 million, water is a fraction of the total. How much food goes through your shop, and of that 7.2 million you throw away?
Oh, I'll give you an example, and I'm not hiding behind this. I just think that we have to actually support consumers, because in our operations, it's sacrilegious not to look at our own operations, because that's bottom line impact. And to put in context, 7.2 million tonnes are our homes, and there's 0.2 million to 200,000 tonnes in all of the major retailers combined. So that's not a cop-out, and that's why I'm saying that we're already doing lots of things in our own business because it makes commercial sense. I'm saying that we all need to make sure that we do the right thing for the whole of the UK PLC in a moment by focusing on homes and families too.
We'll take one final question. Go on.
But isn't a major part of the waste the misshaped carrot that they don't buy in the first place?
No. So I'm not going to talk on behalf of any retail. I'm talking about Sainsbury's. We've been selling wonky fruit and veg for 10, 12 years. So it's business as usual for us. And just to dispel some myths, if you think about the misshapen vegetables that we purchase from crops, they end up as carrot battens. They end up in our ready meals. They end up as courgette. They end up as boodles. Genuinely, we absolutely make sure that the products that we have, just because they're not as pretty as what actually you and we want and we demand, we make sure that we absolutely do the right thing. So if you think back to our basics ranges, they may look a little bit ugly, however, they still taste lovely on the inside.
So we've heard from Bob Costanza about the importance of natural capital and ecosystem services. We've heard from Tim Lang about the importance of sustainable diets. And we've heard from Paul about real concerted effort by a UK retailer to tackle the big problem of waste. And IKnowFood is very much a multi-stakeholder project. We can't achieve what we want to achieve without working with industry stakeholders right across the food system, and that's what we're going to do. And tonight is the start of that. Can we just thank our keynote speakers, please? And they've given us lots of food for thought, I think. So safe journeys home.